Honest evaluation of what you thought of Deshaun Watson in 2023. I know you've done this on your show as well.
Yeah, the thing that I always get a laugh out of is when people compare these 5 games to what he did before. This was clearly a much more positive sample than the 2022 sample, right? I think he had one bad game in the bunch. Yeah, he didn't put up amazing numbers in any of these games, but if you watch him, you felt like he was definitely helpful to winning, right? Now, some people give him the criticism that none of the games that the Browns have won, it felt like Deshaun Watson had to put the team on the back. But that's an impossible thing to ask out of somebody who's on a team that went to the playoffs with 26% of the salary cap on injured reserve. Clearly, this roster is not needed to be carried. So I don't think anybody would have had to carry this team. This team was able to carry the quarterback position for most of the season. So to me, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag from him, but mostly leaning in a positive direction. I thought he made some strides in being able to manage the game. And look, as much as we want 2020 Deshaun, 2019 Deshaun, right? You know, we want to see those big plays and those big yardage numbers. What we're also going to need from Deshaun, if this team wants to win the Super Bowl, is he's going to have times where he has to manage the game, right? If you watch Pat Mahomes, there's sometimes where he's making those, oh my God, that's Pat Mahomes plays, right? Where you can't believe what you're watching. And then there's times where it's pretty boring, right? He's just chucking it 5 yards here, 7 yards here. And Deshaun showed that in that Baltimore game. He could do 5 yards here, 7 yards here. He can make some of those big time throws that we expect him to make. I think, honestly, we just need to get a full sample of games from Deshaun Watson. That's been the biggest flaw with this whole thing, is that he's only played 11 games in 2 years. We really need to see him play 17 games this year, at least 8 in a row, because I think if we would have gotten 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, we would be walking away very excited about what Deshaun Watson was able to do, especially once that schedule got weaker in the second half. Keep in mind, all of the things that he's done this year was in the tough part of the schedule, and it wasn't like he was in there consecutively in the first half of the season. He had 3 games consecutively, long break, 3 more games. I think his sample is pretty impressive. Now, does that mean he's going to be an MVP candidate, top 5 quarterback? No, I think he has some growth to make to get to that point. I think he really does need to make health a priority in his play style. I think he's a guy who can win from the pocket and make great throws in that pocket area. And when he plays his best football is when he's staying tall in that pocket. And I don't see him rely on that enough, right? We know he can run. We know he can do that. But his running kind of needs to be a complement to his play style and not one of the main dishes. And right now, I think he's trying to make that a main dish, but maybe that's because he wasn't super comfortable with what he was running. And with more comfort, with more familiar concepts, he will be able to do that a lot better.